That absolutely sucked.
Yeah.
That was rough, to say the least.
One of the worst watching experiences we've seen in quite a while from this team. Inter Miami lose in embarrassing fashion, 3-1 to Monterrey in Monterrey in the second leg, losing 5-2 on aggregate. Just a sloppy field, a sloppy formation, a sloppy set of plays, all around just awful performance. Let's get my intro out of the way real quick. Thanks for stopping by the Heron Heads podcast, your first stop for all things Inter Miami. My name is Julio. I'm joined by Dave, Chris, and Jose. And on behalf of the guys, thank you for joining us for episode 67 here on the Heron Heads podcast, your first stop for all things Inter Miami. For those of you that hung out with us in the watch along, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Although it wasn't fun necessarily watching the game, it was really nice to have the interactions throughout the game, answer questions, and have some just like casual chatting with you guys. And then for those of you catching the match reaction, thank you guys for stopping by, and be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons if you're enjoying the show. Huge shout out to our chief Heron Heads, Matias, Chow, Abu Ava, and Mari V. Thank you so much for your continued generous support. And if you'd like to support us on Patreon or check out some merch, you will find a link in the description wherever you are listening. That said, initial reactions, everybody.
Womp.
Chow's just here for the shout out. Thanks, guys, for being with us throughout all of that. It was rough, but you guys made it a little bit funner. Not really. It sucked regardless. But what seems to be coming out the most from at least the beat from the fans, from us as well, is Tata's lack of creativity with the just in-game management, which we've seen all year long. This is not anything new at all. The in-game, it was 1-0, and I felt like in that first half, they had the ball most of the time. It seemed, at least in dangerous spots. When you look at our spots in that first half, particularly, we had one or two possible chances, not even chances, just possible chances. That's not how you're going to win against top teams. And I don't know, maybe I don't know. You hear it enough about like that we just weren't ready for this moment. Maybe we weren't. I don't know. I don't know how that could happen to us, but it just seemed like we weren't ready for it.
My initial reaction is officially I'm on board with Team Tata out. I've seen enough. I've seen way too many performances where you have enough skill on the field and there's just either no plans, no tactics, or just bad plans and tactics. Like we saw another 5 at the back when we've been banging the drum that we can't play that way with this team. And then in the most pivotal game of this season, he comes out with 5 at the back. And I understand that Ruiz has a red and you have some injuries, but you have Noah Allen getting the start at left center back when you have the flexibility with Negri back. That's it. I've seen enough of him. That's my hot take. My key takeaway is the captain of this ship is not the right one, or he doesn't want to put the work in. I don't know what's going on, and I don't know what we can do and who we can replace him with. But that's a conversation that needs to be had by Beckham and the Moss brothers. They need to figure this out because we're not going anywhere with Tata at the helm.
The only place that we're going is to more disappointment. He's manning the ship, but he's heading it in the wrong direction. There's no in-game adjustments. There's no plan once he gets, like Jose said in the watch along, punched in the mouth. There's just nothing changed. Like we went down 1-0, which is not the end of the world as far as this competition was concerned, Miami at that point still needed to score 2 to get it to extra time. It wasn't like we needed to score 2 regardless. So even going down 1-0, it wasn't the end of the world. It was bad, but it wasn't awful. Nothing changed when they scored the goal. Awful giveaway by Drake to lead to that goal. Hugely disappointing for a keeper that we've seen hit the highest of highs before in the Leagues Cup. Just you don't expect that from Drake, but the passing from everybody tonight was just some of the worst I've seen from a professional football team in a very, very long time. I mean, all over the pitch, players were passing straight to opposition, to no one at all, straight out of bounds like we saw with Toto. I mean, there were just some really, really, really bad passes at very inopportune moments that just led to every single goal that Monterrey scored. And I'm with you, Dave. I think huge, serious questions need to be asked of Tata right now.
Yeah, I'm on that same train with you guys with Tata out. I mean, this today was unacceptable. Someone said it in our live stream that this is a type of game that gets managers fired and coaches fired. You're in a global stage here, playing one of the biggest tournaments or the biggest tournament of the season, and you get embarrassed like you just did. And not only do you get embarrassed, you don't make any changes. You're out there. What's the definition of insanity? You keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result, and that's what we've seen from Tata. We saw him come out in the second half, absolutely zero changes. The 60th minute came, zero changes. What are you doing? What's your plan? There has to be a plan behind all of this, and it didn't seem like he had one. You know, we came out of the half still down 1-0, like Julio said. It's still in your reach, and you do nothing. You do nothing. This team was stagnant, and the players out there. Yeah, maybe we had the proper players out there, minus Noah Allen. I think we could have used his spot to have someone a little more electric, like Kramaski. Or I know. I spoke bad about Alfonso the last couple matches, but man, even he would have been something different in attack in the second half to make some sort of change and spark something out there. So yeah, it's definitely time for Tata out, and I think that conversation really needs to be had with the higher ups on the team.
And Jose even said it in the first leg when Ruiz was getting out of control. Jose said it's like, oh, you see he's getting out of control. Take him out so you don't put yourself in a bad position. I understand by the time Alba got his second yellow in this one, the game was already out of hand. But it's the same thing. Like, the game's going nowhere. Your player's out of control. Take him off and put somebody to get some run. Put Alfonso in there. Put Kramaski in there just to get some run, because we're going to need them moving forward. And you want them to have some kind of game time in there. Yeah, the Jose, and I agree. You do. He's the most level-headed one out of the four of us here, so I feel like he wouldn't be getting back-to-back yellows.
Can someone get his whiteboard, please, so he can show his tactics?
Yeah, it's just it's disappointing. It's the same thing. We're seeing the same problems come up over and over and over. And Chris said it in our watch along. What's the definition of insanity? It's doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. And we're that's what we're doing at this point. It's every pre-show is like, oh, I wonder what Tata's gonna do. We shouldn't have to wonder so much. We really shouldn't.
Well, the reason why we wonder is because he's constantly doing the opposite of what we suggest he should do, and like it's not like we're Pep by any means, but it's just like some things are just understanding people and understanding, hey man, this guy's getting a little bit crazy and nobody's settling him down. I feel like these guys, when they get each other riled up, they're like, they feed off of that energy. They just keep getting more riled up, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse until somebody chokes somebody. It literally happened today. It's just like it just always ends this way, and it's like it's like what are we doing? That's just simple managing people. That's not even a soccer manager. That's just a manager of people. You see somebody behaving at a level, doesn't matter who it is. It could be your star player. if he's gonna make it get a red card for some reason, like it already happened last game. Let's see what happens the next time this happens. Do you think he learned from his lesson, guys? Do you think he's gonna take someone out again? Yeah, I don't think so. Because he's just shown himself to just like not make any in-game adjustments, which is weird. It's weird. It's not something that you see it anywhere else.
I just don't understand the point. Like, I don't understand the statement that he's trying to make to the players of like, well, just write it out. This is what you get. Like, you sort of dug your own grave here, so deal with it. I just don't understand why. Like, there's no lesson to be taught. Is he trying to teach these superstars that they don't just get to sit out because they're losing 3-0? Is that the grand lesson here? Like, grow up, dude. Like, this is the big leagues for this region, you know? This is the international competition of this region, of this confederation, and go win. Like, stop trying to make a point to these players. Do something. Nothing's worked for 60, 70, 80, 90 minutes. The whole match, nothing worked. You do nothing about it. It's inexcusable. It's silly. Like, you're trying to play mind games, or you're trying to like manage these players. He's lost control of these players. Like, over the last 2-3 games.
That's what I'm seeing. That's exactly what I'm saying. Where it's like, okay, well, who's gonna stop these guys? Like, he's literally okay. Look, and I don't like the rumors because we don't have really any proof, but obviously something happened because Inter Miami was fined after the first leg for something that happened behind, by the locker rooms of Monterrey. Why was Tata there? You know what I'm saying? Like, he supposedly, every story that I've read about it, he was part of he's part of the guys that were pissed off. And I'm like, you got to be a leader, man. You're not here to be a friend to these guys. You're not helping them at all. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, these are grown ass men. Like, they need to behave. I mean, they need to like come on, man. Yeah, you just got your butt whooped today, and yeah, and they were the better team in both legs.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, these players are greats of this game, but they are not bigger than the club, than the league, as far as we're concerned, right? Like, Tata was put in this position to lead this club, to be the manager of this club, and by being the manager, he needs to manage his players, and he's completely lost them. I mean, you see it in how demonstrative they are on the pitch whenever the smallest thing goes wrong. The ref was calling he was letting the players play, and our players were not about that life. They were not about it. They were just super frustrated the whole match because the ref was calling it just very loosely, not calling the little nicks, fouls here and there, and it got to them, and it led to the Alba second yellow. The first yellow, I think, was also for dissent, if I'm not mistaken.
Sorry, I'm on mute. But the second one was because he stepped on the guy. That was a little weak, in my opinion. But maybe the ref had enough of him and just wanted.
Yeah, but also when like the ref blew the whistle for a foul, right? But then you see Alba screaming and spinning and like throwing his hands and just, it's too much. Like that how has there not already been a conversation? Because specifically with Alba, we've seen it since the last fall. Like, this is not like a new thing with Alba specifically, and it's just grown and grown in intensity, and it's just bad. It's bad management. You're not seeing Tata. Every time the camera panned to Tata, he's just there chewing his gum, pouting his mouth. I want to see him screaming at these players, calling Alba over and talking to them, be like, yo, this is what I'm seeing from over here. You know, we need to be doing these things differently. He's not doing any of that. I'm surprised he was even standing up on the sidelines and not just sitting on the bench.
I thought he was eating an empanada somewhere. But it wasn't. I would have actually respected that. You know, just a good Argentinian empanada, a little carne. Shoes. If I'm gonna say something because these guys hate it, but Chow respects my podcast. I mean, my documentary loving self. Shoes mentioned that maybe these guys he's already been fired while coaching these guys in the past. Perhaps they didn't want him to be coaching. That's not true in a sense because in the documentary of Inter Miami on Apple, it shows that actually Tata was actually extremely important in bringing Messi in the first place. He actually went to his dad's house. He sat with his dad, convinced his dad, then eventually got to Messi. But I don't know that could be part of the actual greater thing here too, right? Like what happens if Messi doesn't want him to leave? You know, like so. As Inter Miami fans, are we okay with Messi being here as long as Tata's here?
What do you think is greater?
I'm going to tell you the answer to that. Yes, we're
What
okay.
do you think is greater? Messi's desire for a manager to be in place that acquiesces to his desires, or Messi being made a mockery of? To me, the latter is more important to Messi. That to him, that will be unacceptable. Because I bet you bring 95% of the coaches in the world right now that Inter Miami could realistically bring in, and they're going to acquiesce to whatever Messi wants.
And tonight's embarrassing to Messi. He has to be embarrassed. Yeah, we've said it multiple times, he's been in bigger games, he's played bigger matches with more meaning to them overall for his career, but this is still embarrassing, man. It has to hit him, and he has to be thinking about it as well. So if management or if leadership comes to him, because I'm sure they'll come to him to make any sort of decision or to tell him of a certain decision, he has to be okay with it. This is embarrassing for everybody involved around this whole club, including Messi himself.
A mid-season firing would also be a little embarrassing, to be honest.
The results that have happened over the last month and a half have been as embarrassing. I'd rather make a change and right the ship before it continues down the wrong path. And just to clarify something, we didn't lose tonight because of Messi, but everywhere you look, it will be shown as a failure of Messi.
But Tata getting fired will also be a failure of Messi.
Totally disagree.
I don't agree with that.
He's been fired in Barcelona, and it wasn't a failure on Messi. It is what it is. He still had success in Barcelona. And
He's had a mid-season. Messi's had a coach fired mid-season.
I don't know. Look it up.
Somebody answer in the comments. I don't know if that would be a first. That would be interesting.
But I don't think it would be viewed as a failure on Messi's part. It's Tata's failure. Messi, we knew going into the season that Messi was going to be unavailable to us due to his obligations with national team, due to the amount of competitions that we're participating in, which we've already been eliminated from one. This is a failure on Tata's part. How is the team look so inept going into this match? Messi was saved and protected for this match. We rested him last week when we thought he was going to be ready to go. All signs indicated that he was going to be ready. Fine that he doesn't play because they said that the training is not where it needed to be. His recovery wasn't where it needed to be. Fine. Weekend, plays 45 minutes. Looks ready to go. All signs are pointing to him playing a full match today. And then he plays. But how does the other 10 players that you put out there, how do they look so inept? It's not a failure on Messi. If Tata's let go, it's not a failure on Messi. It's Tata's failure.
And how does a team that on paper looked so, and I said it during the live stream, but I'm repeating it for those who weren't on the live stream. How does a team on paper that is so much better than what they brought out the last Monterrey match last week, how does that team look so much worse than what they showed last week? It just doesn't make any sense. The only difference, one, Messi was out there, which you would think would be better automatically. And two is the formation, the same thing that we keep talking about. And we're broken records right now, but it's the formation. The formation makes a huge difference. And he failed to have the proper formation with the proper personnel on the field today. That's the only way. Just look at last week. It's easy to see.
And Monterrey were missing one of their better midfielders.
Yeah.
So are we.
No. Ruiz is a backup at the end of the day.
And he was playing right back. Was he not
over any of these guys?
Where was he playing? He was playing right side mid.
No, but I'm saying Redondo. We just lost Redondo right before that first leg. We're a week away from being told that Redondo was hurt and he's
no.
gone.
But we're comparing leg 1 to leg 2.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's besides the point. Last match we didn't have Redondo. We still look better somehow. I mean,
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Well, because they played again in a system that makes sense for the team.
Mhm.
I don't understand his thought process of going to continuously go into a system that doesn't fit. I don't know if he has money on the other team. I don't understand what the hell's going on here. This is just conjecture. But Jesus Christ, there's no explanation for it. But how many times have we said there's no explanation for the stuff that he does?
I
You
don't
have a bad formation and no substitutions in a game that's well out of hand with four of your older players in there playing the whole damn match on a terrible pitch. You're just inviting something catastrophic to happen.
Look, I'm not gonna also just sit here and say that the only reason why we lost was Tata. I don't think that's the case either. If we're being fair, there were a lot of missed opportunities just to get the ball in to our playmakers' hands to score goals, to even have shots on goal. Us having one shot on goal is at some point it's not just Tata having a bad formation. At some point, it's also like, hey, we need to get some passes and put them in the proper place so that guys can get shots on goal. And we honestly, like, how many passes can you think at the top of your head? There's one that comes to my mind, and it was when Alba passed it and Gressel just wasn't in the right spot. But like, how many like introductory passes into the box that look like very, very dangerous passes can we think of? There really weren't that many. They did a great job of mucking it up, and we didn't have an answer for that.
But I mean,
Well, I
Part
of it
agree.
was them
Tata
looking
needs
up. How
to find
much
the
of
answer
it-
for it.
and also how much of it is lackadaisical passes in your defensive side of the field. And it's not just in this match. It's I don't know how many matches
that Drake calendar pass.
But it wasn't just that one. It's that they were inviting that to happen all match with the way that they would softly kick the ball from one defender to the next inside of their own penalty box. Like they're inviting disaster, and that's coming from the coaching. You think that in practice, if they do that, they're not gonna say, "Hey, that's not the way we're gonna do things here." No, but it's just a lot of it is Tata, and then a lot of chances aren't created because of the formation. The formation is a big reason why you're not having chances. When you know they're going to come out in that type of in that type of formation against you, and that type of tactic with a low block, and then you decide to commit 5 defenders to counter that. Like it doesn't make any sense. I understand that you might be short staffed, but put your best foot forward. And I refuse to believe that any manager will look at what's available to him and say, okay, Noah Allen's going to be part of my 5 at the back starting squad when we're already down a goal.
Do or die. Noah Allen time, baby.
It's ridiculous. Like there's no defending it. There's no defending it.
The question that I saw now and I saw earlier is who would put at left wing. Honestly, we had options that were going to be better than having Noah Allen as our third center back. We had Gomez that could play left wing. He's done it before. We have Kremaski that he's ready to play. He's played the Inter Miami, the second squad team games or matches, and Alfonso, which he's been playing the last 2 games in that position. So we have the players to do it instead of having Noah Allen back there. I mean, granted, Noah Allen wasn't really to blame for this game for losing this game per se, but again, it has to do with the formation that was chosen. And we had options. Exactly. That's the point. He's useless. And this formation kind of makes him play there, unfortunately. And that we can't have that.
Yeah.
We
And the other
use our positions smarter.
You're chasing goals here. And then you put in Noah Allen, who strictly defends and does it at a subpar level and doesn't add anything to the attack. It's like, what are we doing? And then not only Kremaski and you could have put Jordi Alba up in the left wing, and you could have Negri play left back and a fourth in a 4-3-3. There's options for you. And then you have the 5 or whatever 3-5-2, and then now you're forcing your 2 strikers to play wide, and Suarez at this stage in his career cannot play wide. I don't know how many times in the last few games we've seen him up front and with 2 up front, and he's just trying to bring the ball up wide, and you can just see that the treads fall off the tires on him, and then he catch up, and then that's the end of the attack. So Suarez, for him to be effective, has to be the point man right up front, and that's it. He can't be veering off too far out wide. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. And I am not going to give Drake a pass because that giveaway was catastrophic in the worst way. That one I won't put that goal on Tata too much because that's just a mental lapse. And that's part of the issue with Drake. Drake has all the physicality in the world. He's great athleticism, but he still does a lot of the mental errors that you don't like to see. And I'm seeing in the comments people, well, maybe we can get a goalkeeper on loan. I don't know what the status is of that, and I don't know how willing the club is to get a different goalkeeper in here. I think that Drake is the guy moving forward, unless he does what he just did today in the next 6 matches or something like that. I don't see any scenario where we're really moving off of Drake, at least not this season. Yeah, David De Gea, that's a nice it's a nice name, but we don't know.
There's a reason he's been a free agent for 2+ years, 3+ years. No, listen, name power, whatever. Look what happened with all the names we have on this team. If Tata's at the helm, what's gonna happen? Does David De Gea? No. Serious question. Does David De Gea? Does a keeper? Does a healthy Thibaut Courtois make a difference in this game? I don't think so, because if we give the ball away in front of the net, it doesn't matter.
He would never do that.
No, but Busquets gave the ball away in the box. We had another giveaway that led to the third goal. Like, it's a systematic breakdown of what is going on. And I don't have the splits in front of me, but our offense is abysmal when we roll out with the 5-3-2 or the 3-5-2, whatever you want to call it, versus when we play with the 4-3-3, where we're scoring and housing and dunking on Orlando City with the 4-3-3. Look at this. It's just like an ineptitude in this team. And it's so frustrating to see nothing change for the course of 90 minutes. No subs, no moving people around. How do we not push Jordi Alba to be more creative up front rather than having to sit back? And how do we not incorporate Negri, take Allen out, who's not really providing much? Like, there's so many little things that can be done to just like A/B test the situation, like just see if something works, because nothing worked. And that was the frustrating part. Nothing worked to the point where we went down 1-0. Nothing worked until halftime. Nothing worked for the first 15 minutes of the second half. Like, nothing was working, and there was no attempt to sort of to try to correct course. That's the frustrating part.
It's like we have played the game against the Rapids on Sunday, right? And then you wonder, you're like, man, I wonder if like maybe they just needed the extra rest, the extra three, and so now like we tie that game. At least we didn't lose a point there, but then we lose this one. It's like you almost feel like, okay, like why not have just played one of these games full throttle, instead of half-ass one, half-ass the other. It's like that again. It's just no like direction. Just direction of, okay, let's go after this. They're trying to go after everything, and it's just like there's a fable that I was told when I was younger. There's this dog.
Not a limerick.
Hold on tight.
Yeah, it's 12:55 in the morning. There's this dog that he has a piece of meat. He's holding it, and he's looking into the water.
He's holding it.
Does he have thumbs?
He has it in his mouth, and he's looking at the water. He wants that other meat. He jumps in the water, and he loses both. He loses the meat that he had in his mouth, and he loses and he's like, what the
there's a reflection?
Correct.
I thought there was another piece of meat in the water.
It was. Well, he thought it was. And so that's exactly what we're looking at right now. We're like, hey, maybe we could just win this Colorado game. We didn't. And then we're looking at this game. We didn't do anything. We looked flat. We looked extremely flat. And yeah, I blame looking at the other steak in the water with no direction, no thought.
We've gotten a limerick from Jose. We've gotten a fable from Jose.
Ciao. I agree. I saw it in a documentary, actually.
an extremely frustrating evening. I don't know how much more we can just go over the same thing. It's just very frustrating from Tata. There's not a lot to break down as far as the goals that were allowed. There were bad giveaways. The passing, the passing from our team led to all 3 goals converted by Monterrey. Towards the end of the match, Messi was able to put in a set piece to Gomez, who had a tidy header into the bottom corner for Messi's for Miami's 1 goal. But there's just a lot of frustrations from this match, from the bad passing. We had 60% possession, but we couldn't do a damn thing with it. It was just frustrating. It was frustrating as a viewer. The players were getting frustrated, and Tata was just walking the sidelines, just pouting and not managing. So I don't know how much else there is to say about it. We play Kansas City on Sunday. Is that correct?
Yeah, it may have been on Nickelodeon, Mike. You're right.
Okay.
I love it when Julio's like talking serious, and I just answer someone off keel and just like
no context,
and he just keeps going. No context, and we just keep going.
Yeah. Except you derail the entire show.
And then you explain what you're doing.
It's on Saturday at 8:30. So another late-ish game.
Great. I'll be coming to you live from Orlando.
Nice.
In Heronhead rival territory.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have any additional words to add. It's pretty late. Wanted to keep this kind of short from the get-go. Was hoping that it would be a more celebratory post-match, but just a rough evening for the Inter Miami faithful, for the Messi faithful. Fun night if you support Monterrey or Liga MX. Any closing words here, guys?
Tata out.
Fire Tata.
I think the dog did have a meat, not a bone.
All right. What's the thing? Give a dog a bone. This old man went rolling home.
Give the dog a bone.
Leave the dog alone.
Fantastic. I think that's gonna be it for tonight, guys. Honestly, everyone that did hang out with us in the watch along, thanks a lot. It was fun despite the match that we were being forced to watch. And for those of you that also joined us for the post-match reaction, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for stopping by the Heron Heads podcast, your first stop for all things Inter Miami. And we will catch you Saturday night as we react to the Sporting Kansas City match. So have a good night, guys, and we'll see you then.